Welcome to Blue Collar Startup, the podcast where we dive into real stories of everyday entrepreneurs and trade workers who are turning their blue-collar dreams into reality. Whether you're a student exploring the trades, growing your business, or just love hands-on work, this is the podcast for you. With a nationwide skilled labor shortage, we're here to explore the challenges, triumphs, and lessons learned from those who have built successful businesses from the ground up through integrity, grit, and hard work. From plumbing to carpentry, auto repair to landscaping, we cover it all. Get inspired, gain practical tips, and take the next step in your journey. So grab your tools, roll up your sleeves, and let's get to work.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Blue Collar Startup. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Nelson. Little different format today here. We're switching it up. We don't want to just always give you Derek and I interviewing somebody. Today what we're doing is, and I should say actually for those of you that are watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can see the 16 on center behind me. Very good craftsmanship. And don't worry, I'm not going to bury that thermostat. I'm actually in what's going to be the new podcast studio here, if I can ever get some free time. I'm sure you all know what that's about. And you might even be able to hear the ducks chirping in the background. They're over in the brooder, getting ready to go out to the duck house. So today's format, what we're doing is Derek and I had actually had this idea of creating a online portal of videos, and we recorded them a couple years ago now. And we were calling it the Blueprint. And since those videos are not getting in use, but there's some really good information in those videos, we wanted to bring those out and put some of them out there. Excuse me. All the dust. We wanted to get those videos out there. So this next one, you're going to hear from the Farnan brothers over at Northwestern Mutual, talking about finances and the financial end of being a business owner. I think most business owners can attest that they get so busy and so caught up in doing the business and making sure that the work happens that they tend to let some other things go. And some of those things happen to be their retirement plans and their personal finances and even finances for the business. So these guys are going to be talking a little bit about that to you with, of course, D-Rock is the one that led that interview. And, it's a shorter podcast and or a shorter video. I think it's about 17, 18 minutes, but well worth the listen, especially for you aspiring business owners or people that are even business owners for a couple of years and really know that you've neglected that side of the business. So give it a listen. And, real quick before we get into it, I'm sure our amazing producer, Taylor, will include the intro and the outro for Blue Collar, but I just want to make sure that we give a shout out to our sponsors. I got to thank one of our newest sponsor, actually, Peoplease. Big shout out to those guys. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Also, a new sponsor coming on board, Bonaccio Construction. Thanks so much to everybody over there. And I know on the last episode, I might have gotten the cart before the horse, a little ahead of my skis here, saying that we might be able to get Sonny on there. That our man in Amsterdam, so to speak, Scott McKenna over at Catamount Consulting, who has been great. Thank you so much, Scott. Him and Stacy have been helping to get us interviews and getting us connected to some blue collar folks out there that we might not otherwise be able to get connected to. So really appreciate you guys and the efforts that you're doing to help us keep the podcast going. I have to thank, of course, MLB Construction. Everyone over there is amazing. The work that they do is amazing. And last but certainly not least, the Michaels Group. Thanks so much for your support. And, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to have the podcast. And, because of you guys, we're able to work with HVCC and BOCES locally with getting young men and women some funds in their pockets for tools and books and tuition and all that fun stuff. So I just really want to say thank you to everybody. And, we're always looking for new sponsors. So please, if you're passionate about the blue collar industries and you want to help us make a difference and you like our mission of empowering, inspiring, and educating the youth of tomorrow to become blue collar business owners, then, reach out to us and we'd love to talk to you about what that relationship looks like. And we can even try to help direct some of the funds to different programs that might be more in line with your business and obviously mention you on our wonderful podcast. So thanks everybody for your support. Thanks for listening and enjoy the Farnan brothers. And I know I did.
back to Blue Collar Startup. Today we're here with Ryan and Thomas Farnan. We're going to talk about leveraging investment accounts. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming out.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourselves, your company, and what you guys do.
I'll start. Sure. So Ryan and I are brothers and partners with Northwestern Mutual. We run our own financial planning practice and really spend our days out looking for people that have the same values as us and want to plan for the future. So high level, retirement planning, investments, insurance, tax strategies, everything one might think of when they hear the words financial planning.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you guys work with a lot of business owners, small business owners, particularly in this case in the blue collar industries?
Yeah, that's a sector that Tom and I have been working with more and more every year. It seems like, I've been doing this 3 years. Tom's been doing this 11, so he's got some more experience as far as being with Northwestern. But yeah, business owners and small business owners in particular are a big part of who we try to work with. There's just so many areas for opportunity, whether it's going over some of their benefits, making sure they understand their benefits. A lot of times, business owners, it's up to them to go out and get their own benefits, right? Mm-hmm. From a retirement standpoint, and we're really showing them how to do that, showing them strategies. And the biggest thing is that those business owners, well, the personal side of planning comes into play as well. And when we look at both of them together, we're able to provide some value.
Yeah, and I would say most of the business owners, quote unquote, that we work with, tend to be from the trades, tend to be on the blue collar side. Contractors, plumbers, electricians, family businesses, machinists, things like that. Not all of them, but most of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys work with any folks who are maybe in the trades right now and looking to save for retirement, but kind of have their own entrepreneurial spirit and potentially want to start their own business? Do you ever come across anybody who's looking to save for that particular purpose? And
yeah, for sure. I think we see it often. Possible, we're probably seeing it even more these days. But there's just some examples. Guys in the union, that might be with the steam fitters or the electrical union, or different types of contracting. I think a lot of them are there to get some experience, get their feet wet. While they're there, they do have benefits. Usually, as with most people's benefits, earmarked towards retirement, like really long term. So yeah, we get people all the time that say, I'd like to do this for a few years and then go out on my own. So that's definitely something we talk about a lot and where we think we can add a lot of value.
So what type of investment vehicles, would you bring to somebody like that? Somebody who's looking to plan for the future and maybe potentially go out on their own, start their own business?
It's a good question. The one thing is everything's personalized to that individual, right? So there's not really a one size fits all or one approach or one product or one investment strategy that we use. It's really getting to know each and every one of them, right, and what makes them unique, and their mission, vision, values, goals, right, what they're trying to accomplish, and then kind of putting a plan together, right, curtailing to those strategies. I'd say, the use of leveraging different types of investment accounts. Most people are a little foreign to the insurance world, so we're usually bringing that up, and as it relates and how it all integrates with the investments. But just for example, right, small business owners, if they're a one-man show, there's SEP IRAs, which is a big thing that we deal with put some money away for retirement, but also has some nice tax advantages. At the same time, right, folks who have some employees, there's things called a simple IRA, which is a little bit different, but again, everything's depending on their specific needs in that world.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, if we're talking to somebody that's got a spouse at home that works for the state with full benefits, it's different than talking to someone who, doesn't have a spouse with benefits or doesn't have a spouse at all. So definitely get into, customization. But, I think the biggest thing when we sit down and talk to anybody about the future, it seems like so often people are really focused on retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they just started working like last month, everybody's
Can't wait to retire.
Retirement.
Which
So
might be a problem in society as well. But keep
yeah,
going.
right, exactly, work ethic. But the point to that is retirement vehicles are not the greatest place to save money for the short term and the midterm. So I think when Ryan and I are doing our initial conversation, discussion, and education, it's okay, if we do have some goals on the horizon that are well before retirement, like starting a business, buying a home, sending the kids to college, we've got to make sure we use the right vehicles that don't have any liquidity issues, don't have major taxes when you want to take them out, right? You can take money out of any retirement account you want today, but between the penalties and the taxes, it just is inefficient. So a lot of non-retirement investment accounts, and like Ryan said, probably, which gets a little sophisticated for most, but a lot of insurance, building wealth inside of insurance so that you can access it or collateralize it along the way well before retirement. So retirement's important. We do a lot of it, but we see a lot of people missing that short-term, midterm.
So what is the and that's all excellent advice. And what age level do you guys typically start working with clients, potential clients?
2 weeks old.
That is true. Yes, we like to, the earlier the better, right?
Yeah.
We think it's best, and to start putting some money away for as it relates to your goals, of course. But there's no shortage for time and compound interest, right? So the sooner you start putting something away, the better off you're going to be in the long term. So when Tom says, 2 weeks old.
I love that answer, by the way.
Yes.
It's great.
That's the answer.
2 weeks old, right?
You got to have some buy-in from your parents.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of people, they have children, right? We're always talking about what we can do to set something up at a young age, keep something on automatic. And the nice part about that is it's usually very small amounts, right? Because there's a lot of time to continue to grow that. Whereas, if somebody starts saving for, let's say, retirement or saving in general at the age of 40 or 50, well, they have to put a lot more up because they don't have time on their side. So really depends, but yeah, I'd say the youngest is probably what, two weeks old.
Yeah, and we hear the term often. I wish I started earlier. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. If you're lucky enough that your parents got you going before you were old enough to do it on your own, even better. But if not, you're in high school or college and you got a job and you're earning some money, that's the time to start. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to build those habits, kind of get you into the game, if you will.
So when you say it doesn't have to be a lot, what is a minimum amount that somebody can start with?
Yeah.
Right? And they come to you and say, hey, I want to invest some money for either my son, daughter,
Good question.
or, I have a dream of owning a business. What can they start with? And how much money do they need to be able to do that?
So I think one of the unique things about Tom and I in our practice is, first of all, we don't have minimums, right? So it doesn't matter how much money somebody's making, doesn't matter what their status is. If they want to get better, if they want to succeed, and they're open to ideas, we have some clients putting money away for their kids, putting $25 a week away, $50 a month, all the way up to thousands and thousands, right? Yeah. So
starting off with some birthday money,
correct,
some baptism money. I mean, literally. Whatever anybody wants to start with, they share some of the same beliefs that we do, and we'll get them going. And usually it winds up, you wind up seeing some success with that, or save more money than you ever did before, and people get excited about that. And if they get excited about that, then they'll do more as their cash flow allows. So as Ryan said, it is kind of unique. I don't think everybody in our industry does that. They put some limits on. You have to have X amount to start with us, but we've got some wonderful relationships with people who do save a lot of money with us now, do have some decent wealth built up, but they started really, really small, and we're perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's great that you guys open that up, to everybody, because you never know, who at some point is gonna, be in that position to be able to invest a lot of money. Yeah. So everybody's got to start somewhere.
That's right.
That's
awesome.
That's our goal, right? You never know, and if we can help somebody out and create the relationship and over time grow with them, well, we're going to be with them for the long haul, and you never know, like you said.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife and I, we started doing that with our daughter's birthday money. We'd start tucking it away, and over a course of a couple of years, we got a little chunk of change set aside there, and hopefully, over the next 15 years, she'll be able to use some of that to go to trade school or college or whatever she decides to do. So I can attest it's definitely a great vehicle.
Yeah, that's a testament to you as well and your wife for thinking like that. Most people and quite frankly, financial literacy in America isn't great, right? And they don't start teaching it. I think actually 2 months ago, Florida is the first state to put something mandatory that high schoolers have to take a financial literacy class.
Yeah, I heard that.
And
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
First time ever, 2022.
It's something that isn't taught, and if you don't have the education from your family, right, people end up not really knowing what to do, and they don't have a lot saved. Your daughter has more saved than most people.
Well, the other thing is, I would imagine at some point you and your wife will use it as a little bit of an education tool for your daughter when she's of age to say, hey, here's what we started. Here's why we started it. Here's what it's worth today. And the hope there is you teach her the financial literacy that, school probably isn't going to. We always say everybody we meet with has learned about finances from their parents. They either learned what to do or what not to do.
Yeah.
So, for people watching this, getting your kids started early is something you can control and you can put them in a better place than maybe you were. I get excited saving for my kids more than I get excited saving for myself.
They start thinking about and dreaming about all the things that they could do with down the road.
And as you just mentioned, from parents, grandparents, that's usually where we learn things from. And going back generations, grandparents, for example, their generation of saving, they came out of school, they got a job with a pension, and they stayed there for 30, 40 years, right? And they were okay. Well, the children of those grandparents, it's different now, right? People don't have pensions. It's very few and far between. So it's up to them to go out and try to create their own,
build their own pension.
Correct. Yeah. And generations change. So that's one of the biggest things that we can see from a generational standpoint is things change, and we have to educate them.
Yeah, they definitely do, and that's kind of where the whole idea for Blue Collar Startup came from, and it's almost like we were in that generation where parents were pushing go to college. And now we have a shortage, and we're seeing the shortage of blue collar workers in the field. A lot of them are retiring or at that age, and there's nobody there to replace them. It's creating significant demand, driving costs up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I know your brother's a contractor right now, he's seeing that, and tons of credit to him, by the way. Just started his own business and doing a great job.
He's doing great.
We're kind of seeing that, and it sounds like there's some generational differences there as far as saving money.
Correct, 100%. And you hit the nail on the head, right? Everybody was saying you have to go to college, have to go to college. And sure, yes, people still go to college, but there's a lot more of a percentage of people who aren't going to college, and they do just fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We work with a lot of entrepreneurs that never went to college that are some of the smartest people we know.
Yeah. A lot of them they got the work ethic.
Yeah, they got the work ethic. We work with a lot of people who went to college who aren't.
It's funny. Smart. Well, we just did an episode in a content piece where we talked about really what college taught me, and that was just to continue to learn.
Right.
Like that's if somebody's hungry enough to just keep learning.
Sure.
School's not going to give you that motivation and that drive.
Yeah, and a lot of times, unless you're in a very specialized field, attorneys, doctors. A lot of times people are graduating from college with a degree and they're getting into something that has nothing to do with that, right? We're seeing that more and more. And it's just the way the world works nowadays.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you could leave everybody here with, I guess, one piece of advice, what would that be?
Oh, one's tough.
Question.
The $1 million question is going to come next.
Just if you seriously want just one in the realm of what we do, we've already touched on it. I would just say, start early. There's no time like the present. If you're watching this and you're 20, great. If you're watching this and you're 40, same thing. You gotta get started sometime. You can't make up for time.
Yeah, and to that, correct, start early, but just make sure you're diversifying yourself, right? You hear we see a lot of times people are, whether it's just in one asset class or they're in, putting all their eggs in one basket.
Just retirement or
right.
something like that. Yeah.
Start early, diversify, and really make sure that you have some type of game plan for the short term, the midterm, long term, and have a little bit of money saved up in the bank for an emergency, right? So diversify and start early.
Yep.
That's 2 actually, but.
Well,
That's good.
That's one's mine, one's yours.
There you go. One from each of you. Now the $1 million question. So you guys are in this every day, this ever-changing world. You're seeing the markets move. What's your outlook for the rest of this year? What are the markets going to do in your opinion, and how do you think that's going to play out?
I think that there's still some although the markets have been volatile, and they really have been since the end of last year, I think there's still room as far as, we're talking strictly the stock market. I think there's still room to go. I don't think we're in a recession anytime soon, immediately. From everything that we're reading, our analysts, the things that we brush up on, I think eventually, sometime in the 2023, towards the end, maybe early 2024, I think there's going to be some hiccups in that term, recession. But for the immediate future, there's a lot going on, but I do think that there's still some good time left in the stock market.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate you guys coming out. Final thing, you've given a lot of great advice, and we thank you a ton for that. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they reach you, and how can they reach you to learn more about some of these investment vehicles and retirement and retirement planning?
They can reach us via our websites. They can reach us via our email. Probably the easiest one is right through Ryan. He kind of heads up corralling everybody for our meetings. So
Sure.
It's ryan.farnan@nm.com. Website
is ryanfarnan.nm.com. Find us online. We both have accessible websites. We're on LinkedIn. We're on social media. And we're always here for a free consultation. Right? Always looking to meet good people, see how we can help them, build a relationship.
always starts with just a conversation.
Correct.
See where we can help and if we can. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both again.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you back on here at a later date.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, 5 Towers Media, Daigle Cleaning Systems, Daigle Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peopleese, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible, and thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.